Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ty and Sky's Health Pub. Now, you may have noticed that some of your friends, particularly male friends, have been looking a little fuzzier. We'll use fuzzier as of late. And the reason being, as November wears on, we get later into No Shave November or Movember. And if you haven't heard about this, I guess maybe you've been living under a rock. But we will explain it, because I feel like the first time I was hit with it was as a freshman in college. So that was like 2007.
That was
2007.
1998. No, I'm just kidding. It was a long time ago.
It was another age. And I was just blown away by this idea. So I guess I don't know if it's like an age thing where you reach a certain age and you're like, now you're old enough to know about November, young lad, or if it's like a with the times thing. But as I understand, this whole thing started in Australia in about 2003. Isn't that right, Skylar? 2003?
Right, yeah. Movember itself started in 2003, exactly like you said, in Australia, to raise awareness for prostate and testicular cancer.
Yeah, so those male-specific cancers.
Yeah, they figured that, like, you know, in that case, you know, you're, like, wandering around, like, you know, I was always curious, you know, around November, you know, oh, why is there so many beards, you know, like, and then people will shave them off, like, the next month, or in some places they'll keep them because either, the winters get really cold.
They do
so
up
it's
here.
Almost like, it's justified, yeah, like, especially up there, yeah. And,
it's like a built-in neck warmer. Neck warmer.
It really is, and like historically, it just seems like people are like even despite, you know, some of the, I was like, I don't feel like shaving this, you know, so like it's almost an excuse to like not be, you know, like not to have to groom yourself, you know, you can just kind of let yourself, like, you get a free pass on letting yourself go on that for a little bit.
And actually, the idea behind No Shave November or Movember is that you would take the money that you were going to put into grooming yourself, whether that be your face, or ladies can participate too, as it's mentioned that some ladies, including me, not being a lady, but didn't shave their legs, and that's another option as well. They take that money and put it into research that supports kind of finding newer treatments for male-specific cancers. So again, testicular cancer and prostate cancer.
So it really is a reallocation of funds, actually. So if you were going to spend like $30 on shaving cream and razors for a month, which is kind of high, you know, can't do any
Your
product
gourmet
placement here,
shaving,
but
Skylar. Yeah. Skylar's face is like a Viking god.
Yeah.
Only the highest quality diamond razors touch those cheeks.
Only the diamond razors may grace upon my chin. No, but it's, you know, for people, you know, like, there are people that participate that, you know, don't have the funding necessarily to, you know, contribute, and that's fine. You know, people, you know, it's really just a suggestion, but not shaving and just telling people about the message. It's kind of interesting, though, because I know, at least in my personal experience, when I first heard of No Shave November, there was still a disconnect about people not really understanding why people did it.
Mm-hmm.
There was always like this disconnect between the whole motivation of promoting awareness of prostate and testicular cancer. Like, they kind of just assumed it was like this thing, like, all right, guys, we're going to the club, all right, all the guys getting together, all right, and we are not shaving for this month because it's cool. We have cool beards, you know, and in a way, it is celebrating beards. Like, it absolutely is. You know, and then. And I guess I should also describe, though, that there is a difference between Movember and No Shave November.
Oh, so I've been using them interchangeably. So
you know,
there's a difference.
For the longest time I was too. And so actually, No Shave November is a different organization that actually encourages people like to do the donation stuff itself, while Movember is actually was just the initial push to raise awareness about
Oh,
the cancers itself. So No Shave November, is it's kind of interesting because like even as a page like on Facebook, like it was established in like 2009, and that's kind of where like they kind of promote their issues going forward. But it's just really interesting how essentially they are kind of the same. Like I still, despite even knowing that nuance, I would still use them interchangeably. I think like I would just be like no shaving, right?
yeah.
But apparently some people have more of a focus on mustaches as opposed to beards. Um, and I'll say like just to be upfront about my experience with No Shave November this year, I kind of just did the whole uh, beard, mustache, and hair. So no haircut either. It was just like whatever comes this month, it has to stay. Like
He
it
did the
might
whole
be
Nordic
gone.
god thing, just
I,
straight
I
Odin. He went straight Odin.
I did, and I also have red beard too, so it's kind of it's kind of like one of those like cool little things. Um, but definitely it's definitely worth doing to raise awareness. I do think that there's other issues that kind of affect men in particular from wanting to talk about these issues. Like, we might have a thing where, say you and me like started, said we're not going to shave,
Hmm.
but we might like hyper focus on not shaving as opposed to talking about testicular cancer. Like it would be, the conversation should be like, well, what about these things, or what about prostate cancer? It's
It is a
like,
hard bro conversation to have.
right, it's like a very masculine tool that's like it's a masculine feature that's being used to promote awareness of an issue that talking about traditionally is not viewed as like it's not sometimes it's not really viewed as a masculine thing to talk about these issues, and it's trying to destigmatize those issues. So
That's
it's actually a
wonderful.
really cool thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, for any of you guys out there, like we know like no November has come and passed, but it's always good to just know those little nuances about, why people are doing stuff. And it doesn't have to be only one month where certain issues are, the highlight. For a lot of people, a particular health issue is the highlight of the entire year or their entire life.
Or the low light,
Um,
if they're
right.
diagnosed with it.
Yes. And so, definitely, let people know more, talk to people about it, especially, anyone in your family that's going out, compliment them on their beard, let them know it's good, and then maybe have a conversation about, maybe, think about getting, prostate exam, like, cause that's kind of the next step for it, right?
Well,
So,
if you, yeah, I mean, getting your I mean, don't rush to your doctors and ask for a prostate exam. Those, I mean,
right,
unless you fit in a higher risk group,
right.
that we don't want to flood the clinics with those because trust
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
you're gonna get probably looked at
It,
really. You're gonna get a really interesting look from your doctor.
Yeah, don't show up with
Um,
a full beard and just be, I demand a prostate exam. Like
but
do take the time. There's certain groups at risk. Preferably if you're an older man. Um, but
talk to your doctor
it's
about it.
definitely consult with your physician first
Take their
before
advice.
anything.
Yes.
Yes.
And do not let your friend give you a prostate exam, no matter how many times they've played Surgical Simulator on Steam, okay?
Yeah,
Trust me on
especially
this
those
one.
med students. Like,
That
no,
will
don't. That's not the time to practice.
That's a recipe for a bad time. So I guess just talking a little bit about our last month. So as we mentioned, Skylar went full Odin on this. Unfortunately, I could not, and we will share photos. So you guys will be able to see photos. So what I did instead is I tried to experience the approach that's put out by No Shave November for the ladies. So at the beginning of the month, and I should mention why. So I've been interviewing for residency positions throughout this last month, which is why it's been touch and go with this. And Skylar and Aaron have done a great job of keeping the podcast stream going. But I chose to shave my legs. So, I guess for
Like
me,
Michael Phelps, you're the
I
swimmer.
went straight Michael Phelps on it. Yeah. So it was the first time I had done that since ever. So it was an interesting concept, and I will say, having to do that on a weekly, or I don't know how often people do it, but having to do it on a regular basis, I can't even imagine. I've gained a whole new respect for all the people out there who do that. Swimmers, men and women, who shave their legs. It is not an easy task.
Did you cut yourself shaving?
I did a few times.
Oh, multiple.
There's just so, like, it's so difficult. Like, you get used to shaving your face, and it's just such a small area of skin. Your legs
Right.
are huge. Like, typically, compared to your face, there's a lot more leg area. Like the leg to face ratio tips way in favor of the legs. So, so props to you guys. I hope that everybody who participated in No Shave November for their legs had a nice break from not having to do that. But yeah, I guess so. Obviously, I was wearing pants most all the time because it's pretty cold up here this time of year. So I don't kind of get that like walking billboard for the cause thing, which is kind of too bad. So I just wanted to ask you, Skylar, about your experience with that. I mean, when you go out with the full beard during November, do you feel that people recognize what you're doing? I mean, does anybody even maybe mention No Shave November to you, or do you see other men doing it and you look at each other and you like nod knowingly at each other?
It's funny because I remember, this is probably like, I think this is my fourth year doing it, and for this year I had no one comment to me about it in the
Oh,
whole month. At least in terms of like No Shave November. Like they were like, "Oh, you're not shaving." Like they were like, or they assumed it's like, oh, they're like, he's lazy, or you don't seem to be like, are you okay? Like it was kind of like checking up on me. Like, is everything okay, Sky? Is it okay? So it wasn't really, but I've had other years where people were like, oh yeah, you doing No Shave November? Oh yeah, cool. But the conversations never went beyond, that surface level. It never went to that point of, what actually are we doing this for? But in this case, nope, did not happen this time around, not at all.
I think that, like you mentioned, it's such a wonderful cause, and maybe it's important, I guess, for future No Shave Novembers, to, I guess, remember the reason for it, and just like you mentioned before, you did a great job of talking about it before, Skylar, of just not making prostate and testicular cancer too taboo to talk about.
Right, and that's the thing. Especially in like the medical world, we have such great examples of campaigns,
Mm-hmm.
that spreads awareness of medical issues. And sometimes though, I think there is like an issue where like things could be so like such a good catchphrase that we forget the whole reason for it. Like it's suddenly something that's like so catchy. Like No Shave November is catchy.
It's catchy, yeah.
So like, and then like for example, Sober in October.
I have
Like
not heard of that.
yeah, and and we'll definitely and I'll talk about that in another vid for you
For
guys
sure.
if you
I'm
want,
interested.
because that's another fun one. Not a lot of people know about that one. But it's actually getting some traction too. So it's but the name kind of implies what it's about, of course. But just kind of like Sober in October, though, No Shave November. Like now we just have to match up every month to some kind of
Yeah.
event. Make it catchy, make it stick.
Make it snappy.
People remember jingles. They're listening to their Christmas music in November. They're having a good time, and then they're gonna remember. Oh, it's No Shave November. It's done, and then in December they're gonna be like, I don't even know what issue could go with December.
Oh,
That would be appropriate.
man, I don't even know. I can't coin one off the top of my head, but I guess, question for you, are you going to dye that thing white and just make it a big old Santa thing for all of December?
Oh ho ho. I don't know. I think it's it's to the point like, oh gosh, having a beard and maintaining a beard is tough work. And it's already like, it's very itchy too. So, I think I'll have to shave it off too, like it's
All
just
right.
like I hate to do it, but I'm gonna have to let all the elves down at the North Pole. I won't be able to be Santa this year, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you won't see Skylar at your local mall. So don't hit him up telling him what gifts you need this season. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like we mentioned, this is a wonderful topic to cover. It's an awesome cause to get behind. So definitely next time November comes out, throw that razor in a drawer. Don't get it back out. Take all the money you would put into razors, salons, shaving creams, all that. Throw it into your favorite cancer fund and make a difference.
And you can do it like in a case of No Shave November. It's just you're not really doing anything, but sometimes it's just getting out there and doing your normal day-to-day things. And if someone asks you about it, just talk. You know, and that's the beauty of movements like this.
Yeah. So, as always, we should end with a toast. So raise that glass, Skylar.
Always.
To knowledge, good and true.
True.
To the future health
of youth. And the prosperity that they bring.
Cheers.
Have a good one.